Okay, this is the first tutorial on how to use Google SketchUp. I'm using version 8. That's the one that I've got installed, although all the other versions will operate in the same sort of way. First thing I've done is I've gone to where it's got View and Toolbars, and you can see I've selected all of the tools that I need to help me with my drawings. Now the reason I've done this, it just makes it easier than trying to find the commands or the icons if you're not sure where they are. So if you're starting to learn it for the first time and you're not sure which macro they're under, the best way to do it is just to open all of these first of all. Now you'll notice some of these are repeated. So some of the drawing tools are all repeated. So we've got rectangle, rectangle, line and line down the sides. That doesn't make too much of a difference. It's just the other views that we needed that just helps things along the way. Okay, so we'll go through a few things. Well, your drawing tool is quite easy to remember. Pretty much like Pro Desktop, we've got a line tool, we've got a rectangle tool, and if you hover your cursor over the icon, it just tells you what that does. Circle tool, arc tool, then we've got the make component tool. Now we won't use that specifically on the first part that we're going to use. However, what we will do is start to make different parts that we can construct, or different layers, a bit later on. We've obviously got the eraser tool, the tape measure, which is very useful, and we've got the fill tool or the paint bucket where you can apply textures. We've got what we call the push pull tool, and that's where you can click onto a face or a surface and move it up and down. We've got the other areas, for example, where we can move something, and that's where we can draw it, click onto this, and we can move it along its origin. As with any sort of Windows or sort of Windows based package, if you hold the shift key down, it just moves in direction, which we'll have a look at in a second as well. And then what we've also got is the rotate tool, and that's pretty much all that you need to know with the drawing tools. Now, as well as that, what's also important is we've got the different views. So over here we've got isometric, we've got the top view, we've got the front view, we've got the side view, we've got the back view, and the left elevations, etc. So those are very, very useful to drawing. This bit down here where it's got the months, all that is to do is so we can set the time and date for the light source. So for example, if it's a night time and it's in December, or it's at 1600 hours, 4 o'clock in the afternoon in December, it's going to be darker than if it was in June. So we can set the different variances on this part here using the shade and the shadows accordingly. Right, the next thing we need to just have a quick look at so we know where things are. Obviously the open tools, so the new, the open and the save. These tools here where you cut and paste are pretty straightforward, don't need to explain those. The other tools we've got here though, X-rays, where you can see things, it makes all the walls transparent so you don't actually see any interiors, which is quite useful. You can do that onto one face, or you can do it to the whole object. We've got the back edges where it just makes the back edges sort of invisible as hidden lines. Then we've got the next one, which is wireframes, where you can see everything that's constructed. We've then got the hidden lines where it actually blacks out anything that's behind the front two faces or three faces. We've got the obvious one that we use, which is the shaded and rendering, where we can apply textures on, which is the next bit. And then the final one, monochrome, which is where we can set things in shadow, which is quite useful when you're saving drawings and printing. The other things where we've got about positioning cameras, the eye height, so you can have a look whether you're a 5-year-old child, the height of a 5-year-old child, or whether you're doing a panoramic view, or flying a drone higher up. You can change the viewpoint, or the eye line should we say, of the building, which may be useful. And then we've got the walkthrough where you can actually do animations and actually walk through the building, a turn, etc. So it's useful having all these on unless you actually know where they're actually situated on the macros. The bit where we've got the sections, so whether we can do sections here or section cuts, that means we can literally draw the building and then cut the building in half so we can see halfway through the building. Particularly useful if you've got things like stairways, steps, those type of things as well. Okay, the other things that we've got across the top then, where we can add buildings, so there are things that are already predetermined, so we can make a sort of cityscape for it, which is quite good. We've got other things where we can actually use photo textures. That means we can actually take a picture, an image, and wrap that around what we've drawn, which is useful. We can even upload our model into Google Earth. So if you're drawing something from a plan that already exists, for example Kai Street, and you're drawing a shop that's already there, whatever you draw or modifications you change, you can upload temporarily to Google Maps to see how it fits into that environment. And obviously we've got things like get models and share models and to do with that. Right, the other things we just need to show you are down here. Tape measure tool, very important, that's how we get our measurements on here. We've got the dimension tool, again we can dimension and change things using the dimension tools. The protractor allows you, obviously as most protractors will, to draw things at an angle, although the standard is if you hold the shift key down you can select 45 degrees and 90 degree lines. We've then got the text tool where we can write text in onto the side of walls, etc. To label them. We've got the 3D text art, that's quite useful for various things if you're doing signs and frontages. And we've also got this about the axis. Now we don't usually use the axis as such, but you can see where you've got the blue, the green and the red. This is the blue, so the blue on mine would be the y-axis, the up and down axis. The red would be the x-axis. Sorry, the blue would be the z-axis, the up and down, and the height of it. Then you've got the x and the y. It's just our position mine in a different position. So it should actually tell you where these axes are. So you can see where the axis and where the origin's going to be. And we can set these to different ones, although we'll keep it as a bog standard just to start off with. Okay, so there's my origin, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, so once we've got the origin in there, we're ready to pretty much draw. So we're going to start off by drawing a quick exercise in a second, which is where we're going to draw a square and turn it into a very, very quick building. But at the moment, if you can set your page up so it looks similar to mine, where it just goes to view and toolbars and then select all the toolbars that you need, which are basically all those down there to start off with. And that's the first part of the screen. The other thing I will show you is the orbit tool, so you can actually click onto there and move it and rotate it where you need to be. We've got the grab tool, so I can grab an area and zoom in, which is quite useful. We've got the standard zoom in and out. Now I'm using the cursor or the mouse button in the middle, the roller, to move in and out of there, but that's a mouse in and out. And we've also got this bit where we can actually zoom in and out from the person's eye view as well. So there are different views we can use across the top, and that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so first thing is to set your drawing up like that, and then the next stage is we're going to draw a cube, very simple cube, just to show you the basics of how to use SketchUp.